Happy Devils Thursday. This is the Woo Report. The Woo Report. The Morning Woo edition. Streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter Live, and Twitch on the Let's Go Devils Network. Coming to you live from the bunker in an undisclosed location in New Jersey. The Primetime Radio Studios. Ramona Rice says, hello, people. Rise and shine. Michael, Cat's incredible. Select Boy says, what's up, Devils folks? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. This is Woo Report, episode 340, titled Fitzy Not Nominated, Panthers to Cup Finals. So, came out yesterday that Tom Fitzgerald, the Devils GM, who led this team to one of the biggest comebacks, I don't know if it's comebacks, the biggest improvement from 63 points to like 100 and something odd points, over 40-plus point improvement this season, getting the snub, and not nominated for Executive of the Year. Interesting. And I think he got snubbed. Some great candidates, you can make the argument that are deserving, the Jim Gregory Award nominees. Of course, it has to be the three nominees announced by the NHL yesterday. How he was not nominated, Tom Fitzgerald. Well, I've got some comments about that, but let's go with the three nominees. Jim Nill of the Dallas Stars, Don Sweeney of the Boston Bruins, and Bill Zito of the Florida Panthers. Now, it's interesting because, well, the Bruins and Stars and Panthers were all playoff teams the year prior to this season. You can make an argument for Bill Zito of the Florida Panthers that made that big risk, high reward trade for the big prize in Matthew Tkachuk during last offseason. Now, I believe when this is voted upon, this is before the playoffs. The NHL just simply announces it, to my knowledge. I could be wrong. Of the nominees, Don Sweeney of the Boston Bruins, historical season, only to be ended quickly in the playoffs by the Florida Panthers. And Jim Nill of the Dallas Stars, who is his intense season with Dallas, says here that Nill made impactful signings, acquisitions, and contract extensions, strengthening the team's roster, setting them up for an impressive performance. Well, what the heck do you think Tom Fitzgerald did last summer? Going to his plan B, did not get Gaudreau, did not trade for Tkachuk because the Devils really had no chance in that trade to get a deal done without sacrificing the future. Select the Boy says Jim Nill was nominated over Tom Fitzgerald. Are you serious? Yeah. But somehow Tom Fitzgerald and the 40-plus point turnaround, record-breaking season, both NHL individual and franchise records were broken when nobody expected it. Interesting. Very, very interesting. But I will tell you, though, Devils fans, get used to it. Get used to getting snubbed, because that's what the league likes to do. Although the league has fallen in love with Jack Hughes, I would expect these snubs to come in. Tom Fitzgerald, hiring Kate Madigan, and then promoting her to assistant GM, built quite a staff around him. R. Heaton says they love to hate the Devils. Of course they do. Because we're the New Jersey Devils. NY Davey, NJ versus the world. Yeah. How Tom Fitzgerald got snubbed is beyond me. Now, Tom Fitzgerald is a humble, he's a cool guy. He doesn't say anything that will irritate you. But he'll probably say, well, they're all deserving, but we had a great season. But I want to defend Tom Fitzgerald here. Why is really? You couldn't figure out how to get Tom Fitzgerald in here? Jim Nill? Yeah, Dallas Stars about to get knocked out by the Golden Knights. Out of these three nominees, I would have to give it to Bill Zito, just that trade that they made and having to deal with getting a new coach after, let's put it this way, after what happened to Quenneville. Brunette comes in, making the hard decision not to keep Brunette in that position, which became fortunate for the New Jersey Devils, hiring Paul Maurice, making that big, colossal trade, trading good players to get back Matthew Tkachuk, and then signing him long term. And the team, with all the injuries that they had, just barely making it into the playoffs. Felix says Conn Smythe, Marty was snubbed for, Steven snubbed for the Norris. The list goes on and on. Yeah, whoever votes on these on this stuff, I don't know. I never know. I'm still irritated over the Hockey Hall of Fame, where you could have inducted Pat Burns into the Hockey Hall of Fame while he was still alive. His credentials was the same even after he passed away, and then you nominate him and induct Pat Burns into the Hockey Hall of Fame. I'll tell you, these are all mysteries that I just don't understand about the NHL. Why wasn't Tom Fitzgerald nominated? Is there a conspiracy here? One of the biggest turnarounds, or maybe the biggest turnaround in NHL history for a franchise, 63 points to 100 plus, and he doesn't get nominated? I don't know. I just don't know. Was there a secret ballot somewhere? Was Tom Fitzgerald off the ballot? Was he just his ballot, his nomination just disappear? We'll find out on the next Morning Woo Unsolved Mysteries. And happy Devil's Thursday to you, Mrs. Seifert, as she's listening to this fine programming called The Morning Woo on the Woo Report. So that's one of the biggest mysteries. How is Tom Fitzgerald not nominated? Is it because Bill Zito pulled a ninja move? First, the Goudreau snubbing. Then Bill Zito comes in and takes Matthew Tkachuk. And now Matthew Tkachuk now has the Panthers going to the Stanley Cup Finals. Could that be the reason why? All right, in all seriousness, Florida Panthers are in the Stanley Cup Finals. So I'm going to pose a question for you Devils fans. What if Tom Fitzgerald did make a trade for Matthew Tkachuk, knowing what we know now, what the Panthers had to give up? What would this Devils team look like with Matthew Tkachuk? I can assure you, I don't think the Devils would have had Andre Palat. Well, actually, that's not true because in theory, right after the Goudreau snubbing, they went right for Palat and the trade for Marino. But the Devils would have had to give up a lot to get Matthew Tkachuk. You definitely would not have Timo Meier on the team had Tom Fitzgerald gotten his way and brought his cousin or distant cousin to New Jersey. What would the Devils look like? I'll be honest with you. I think Matthew Tkachuk would have been great on the New Jersey Devils. I think he would have been a fine Devils player. But I'm not so sure if I would sacrifice some of the players that Tom Fitzgerald kept and gotten, because assuming that Timo Meier resigns, assuming that Palat is his old self next season, and John Marino is John Marino, Mr. Cool, I don't know if I would trade all that for Matthew Tkachuk. And when I mean by trade, I'm not talking player for player. I'm talking for what happened, because certain things would have never happened had that trade been made for Matthew Tkachuk. Donnell Weaver says Matthew Tkachuk is a pest. Do you agree, Sam Wu? Yes, he's a pest, and he's a very good one. And I think the Devils should get a pest. I'm telling you, pests are part of the game. They throw you off the game. Look what happened to the Carolina Hurricanes. Did the Devils magically wear out the Hurricanes, and that's why they got swept and got their butts kicked in? No. It's because the Florida Panthers know how to get under your skin and throw you off your game. If you don't believe me, ask Toronto. They can tell you all about it. They could definitely tell you all about it. Donnell says the Panthers are like the 2012 Kings, the 2019 Blues. Don't you agree, Sam Wu? Yes and no, Donnell. I think that the Panthers, being the President's Trophy winner last season, although they did kind of gut a core of their team to get Tkachuk to Florida, to Sunrise, I think the Panthers underachieved this past regular season because of injuries, and also the team chemistry had changed, plus a new coach. In the respect of being the 8th seed, I get it, but I think the Panthers are a lot better than what their regular season record had shown. So in that respect, I'd say no. But yeah. But it's a lesson learned. Selective Voice says, we kind of have a pest in Timo Meyer. Not really, though. ANJ22. No, I'm sorry, Selective Boy. A pest. Timo Meyer is not annoying. Timo Meyer just plays hard and is a power forward. Matthew Tkachuk does a lot of shenanigans, just like what he did to Nico Hischier. I've been saying all along that was artificial infuriation to motivate themselves to be mad at Nico Hischier, to pump themselves up so they could beat the Devils. I think that's what more it was. Now, Matthew Tkachuk is a very smart person. What he has done for the franchise, and you listen to his interviews on TV, he's a lot smarter than what people give him credit for. What he did was he built a team culture right off the bat in Florida when he was traded, praising Barkov, defending Barkov allegedly, or when Nico Hischier allegedly went after his knees, which is proven to be not true. But Matthew Tkachuk realized that he needs to have a team around him if he's going to have any success of winning that Stanley Cup. So what Matthew Tkachuk has done throughout the entire regular season, not only is it well-liked in the locker room, a leader in the locker room, but he has gotten this team to gel and play for each other, and it's quite obvious it's paying off right now for the Florida Panthers. If he has to be a pest, he'll be a pest. If he has to block a shot, he's got to block a shot. Matthew Tkachuk will do whatever it takes to get his team to win. But now the Florida Panthers, 4 wins away at winning the Stanley Cup. We'll figure out the conclusion of the Golden Knights and Stars. Stars, Jamie Benn suspended 2 games, the dumbest penalty you could ever do to get your team fired up, right in front of the referee, minute 50-something into the game. Just a dumb penalty. You don't do that kind of stuff. You could have honestly hurt the Knights captain, Stone, on the ice, defenseless, and you decide to cross-check him in the jaw right in front of the referee. I know the refs are bad, but they're not that bad. Anyway. Want to thank all those tuning in to this morning woo on the Woo Report. Dropping the podcast in about 20 minutes. If you didn't listen to it last night, I suggest you listen to it on the Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or any of our social media pages. YouTube, at Let's Go Devils, Twitter, at Let's Go Devils Pod, and on Facebook, at Let's Go Devils Podcast. On the replay, we had the interview with New Jersey Devils senior producer of content, Sam Kassan, on giving his perspective on the season. Yes, and also go to pucksandpitchforks.com as well to read up on all your Devils needs. Anyway, punching out. Hope you have a great day. I'm going to be going out tonight with my buddy. We're going to have some authentic Chinese food tonight. I'll take some pictures on my social media account, @PrimetimeSamWoo. I'm a foodie. I need to eat. I'm starving. I'm hungry. I'm always hungry. That's right. Alrighty. Punching out. This is the Morning Woo on the Woo. This is the Morning Woo on the Woo Report. Till next time, let's go Devils.